Hello and welcome. Namaskar and namaste. Vanakkam and vangu to the first edition of the Saama Better Life Smart Talk series. But at Saama, we take a lot of passion because it provides us a platform. Saama provides us a platform of enabling better lives through our work in data analytics. To extend the theme forward, we look at people who do similar stuff, enabling better lives through the work, enabling better lives through the impact that they make. And today, I'm super duper excited to bring to this forum one of the superwomen that I know, absolutely amazing leader. She is one of the pioneers in the clinical research industry in India. She has been instrumental in promoting biometrics and statistical services in the industry. She has also been at the knowledge base published in more than 20 renowned technical journals in statistics and medicine. She is also a Ph.D. in statistics from the Stanford University, no less. And more importantly, she has been the leading from the front in multiple executive roles in organizations like Pfizer. She has been a co-founder and chief scientific officer at Sciformix. And more importantly, after leading all these assignments to successful outcomes, she's again on the entrepreneurial front with a new venture called ACTU-REAL. She's the CEO and founder of ACTU-REAL. She has been an inspiration to a lot of people in the biometrics and the statistical services industry in India. And it's my great pleasure to have Dr. Chitra Lele come on board today in this inaugural edition. Dr. Chitra Lele, absolute pleasure to have you on board.
Thanks, Rakesh, and I think you've been too generous in complimenting me. But it's a pleasure to be here, and also a pleasure to be inaugurating this excellent initiative that Saama has.
Thank you. So to begin with, if you could give us a small brief introduction about your career journey and some of the choices that you have made, starting from your PhD in statistics at Stanford, 25 years back, right? This is about a time when Stanford, there was like getting a PhD in statistics was not a normal course for people in India. So what led to the decision in your life?
I think the main thing was I always knew exactly what I wanted to do. Because when I did my master's, everybody was going in for computer science. And after standing first in the entrance exam for IIT at master's, I did not even give computer science as one of the options. Wow. I said only statistics. If I get statistics, I do it. Otherwise, I don't. So, and then I liked it. So I wanted to study further. And I thought might as well, try to go to the best possible university. And hence I decided to apply to some of the good universities in the US. It was very challenging, as you mentioned, because at that time, even having knowledge about which are really the good universities was difficult to find. And internet was not there. We couldn't send emails, and just the whole application process everything was challenging. But there was that desire to study further and study at the best possible place. So that's how, after I got all my admits, Stanford was the best place. So I decided to go there. Fortunately, like from the family side, my parents did not say that, oh, no, soul girl, shouldn't travel so far, because I had never traveled outside Mumbai. Actually, I was always in Mumbai, and even IIT was in Mumbai. So, and I didn't have any relatives there, no friends, nothing. So I just went, and they were pretty supportive of that. So that's how Stanford happened.
So for those days, it was brave, courageous, path-breaking, and breaking the mold.
Not common, yeah.
It's not common at all. Okay, nice, fantastic. So how did the move to clinical research industry happen? Because that is where you have pioneered a movement within India, and now India is kind of a hub of clinical research and biometrics and statistical programming services for the entire world.
Yeah.
And you played a very critical role in that. What do you tell us about that?
Yeah, so one of the things I would like to mention to the audience is, at different points of your life and career, there are different things that interest you, and it's perfectly fine to change course.
Okay.
So when I did a PhD at Stanford, my research topic was very theoretical. So it was like purely mathematical statistics. I liked it. I chose the topic. I did it. But then I started teaching at the University of Minnesota. So I was interested in academics. I thought I'd continue to do research. then, then came a point where I thought, okay, I'm sitting here proving all these theorems, which I don't know if anybody is ever going to use. So I want to put my education to use. I want to do something applied. So that was a decision I made. I said I don't want to continue being a faculty in the university. So when I decided I want to do something applied, medicine was always of interest to me. So it was like math, stat, and medicine together when I was in school. And
Math,
then,
stat, and medicine.
and then when I decided to, in college. So those were my choices. So then I said, okay, let me do something where I can apply statistics to medicine. So I decided, I made that switch to biostatistics. So from being a faculty member, I became a research biostatistician, and went back to, from Minnesota, I went back to California. So it was, in a way, maybe it was a step back. In a way, maybe it was a step back because I was a faculty, and then here I kind of started somewhat at a junior level because I had never done exactly that work. So I got to work with very good researchers. I went into cancer epidemiology. I applied my statistical knowledge. So I did biostatistics in cancer epidemiology. I had to start from scratch. So I actually spent a lot of time visiting Kaiser Permanente hospitals, going through all the files, capturing the data. So absolute grassroots. But, I believe that is really the way to learn things and get your hands dirty. And once you decide that that's an area you want to get into, you don't need to really worry about, why am I doing this? I've done my PhD from such a good place. But that's what I tell everybody, that absolute grassroots hands-on experience when you get into something new is amazingly critical, and it gives you so much knowledge that you cannot get otherwise. So that was one big decision where I decided to switch from being an academician to a practitioner of statistics in biostatistics. But when I decided to come back to India, at that time in India, this biostatistics, etc., was not really known, not common at all. So at that point, it was very important for me to move back to India. I had my reasons to do that. And especially I wanted to do something meaningful, something new in India. That was the whole reason for coming back. So I joined IIT. IIT was starting a new program in applied statistics, so I could develop that curriculum. So that was the exciting part at that time. So I said, okay, even if I'm not doing biostatistics per se, I'm using what I've learned there because I know how statistics can be applied, and I can use that to develop the curriculum, the master's curriculum. So I thought it was okay to not practice biostatistics, but then came an opportunity at Tata Memorial Hospital to set up the biostat and epidemiology group there. So that was very much in line with what I had done. And at that time in India, there weren't really people who could do that, who had that kind of experience, and hence I got those opportunities. And that's what I wanted to do, something new in India. So once that happened, so I was kind of, that was a gradual move from academics and theoretical statistics to biostatistics and medicine. And then came a time in 96, 97, when Pfizer was the first company that decided to set up offshore captive unit in India First, they thought they will get data entry done from India for their global clinical trials. So they wanted to set that up, and because at that time I was a person with good stat qualifications as well as some relevant experience, understanding of biostatistics, etc. So I was, according to them, an ideal candidate. And although I had chosen to stay away from the industry when I was in the US, I thought I shouldn't join pharma because of the perceptions that one has. Pharma, we don't know what goes on there, a bad industry. But here I thought that, this was giving me an opportunity to exactly, what I wanted to do by returning to India, to do something very new, which had, first time these kinds of things were being done in India. So I just decided to take up that opportunity. Now, again, here I would like to mention that I had never, ever managed anybody because I was in academics, or I was just a lone research biostatistician. So starting a group and managing the group, managing people was completely new. But at that point, I thought this was very challenging. I wanted to try it out. I wanted to test myself. So that's how it happened.
I think so many examples of going off the beaten path. Either IIT, not into computer science, statistics, Ph.D. in Stanford, not a typical course, then actually working in hospitals to get an applied the application for the application of the knowledge, then catamount again, path breaking actually. This is very heartwarming to know that they also supported setting up this particular function and then moving from managing a larger operation and staying off the beaten path. Very interesting when you share your experience about being hands-on, getting into the details. I've actually seen that in action. I mean, a few years back when the Saama and Sciformix, we collaborated on the real-world evidence, the opportunity. I realized that as a leader, how involved you were, how much trying to understand the details. And then when we went to ISPOR and we went to the booth, the showcasing the prototype to potential customers. You were there actually talking to the customer, understanding what they wanted, understanding the details of their problem statement, explaining how our system works. So for me, I walked away from that interaction saying that at that level, how can she be so involved? How can we show you the details? So it started off very early on, and old habits die hard, and it's a fantastic, inspiring habit. Thanks, Doctor. Second element from Pfizer clinical research. I mean, you was one of the early founders for Sciformix. Now, Sciformix was mostly on the PV space, right? Now that's again a separate part of the industry. How did that happen? I mean, and what are the key? And you actually led it to a very successful exit with the transaction with Covance, LabCorp, and stuff like that. So could you share some of the key highlights and challenges of that journey?
At Pfizer, I built that group. We were the first ones. Pretty much everybody else followed suit, and that just became a big industry, or was on the verge of becoming a big industry. And at some point, I realized that we had grown. The Pfizer team had grown to however much it could, and beyond that, there wasn't. It was going to be more of maintenance, just continuing to manage the group. And so that excitement was not going to be there. So at some point, I told within Pfizer that I want to do something different. I don't want to just continue doing this. So there was something I could have done, which would also have been very exciting, but I eventually decided not to. But there's an area called statistical pharmacometrics, so PK/PD modeling, etc. So Pfizer was very forward thinking. So they said, we want to build a specialized team for this area in India, because globally there are very few people. And at that time, because of translational medicine, etc., this was a big thing. So I had decided I would do that. However, with the mergers, acquisitions Pfizer had, they decided to exit from some of their captive groups, and this group was one of them. It was not surprising because we had built it in a way that at some point the Pfizer captive group would become redundant, and the two partners that we were working with would just take off on their own.
It's part of the design.
It was part of the design. So that decision was made. And so at that time, because I decided to move to the statistical pharmacometrics area within Pfizer. So that option was there, but somehow I just felt very different. Although I knew the business reasons for exiting and closing down the captive, when it actually happened, I thought that now I want to test myself and see if I can do something on my own, because having the Pfizer name behind you and building a group, etc., is very different from just going out on your own without any brand and trying to, again, build something new. So that desire was too strong at that point. So I said, okay, I don't want to continue in that different role at Pfizer, but I just want to do something on my own. Fortunately, I was introduced to the two founders, the original sort of two founders of Sciformix, and then I joined them as part of the founding team. So they had decided that pharmacovigilance would be the area they would focus on, and although I had absolutely no background, it was an emerging area because with the 2005 Merck Vioxx issues that happened, drug safety became a big thing, and the regulations required companies to capture adverse event data, etc. So the large pharma had started looking at outsourcing and offshoring. And we would be one of the early entrants. Before we started, the Accenture had started doing it for BMS. So it was something new, but because the other two founders did not come directly from the domain, they were more from the IT side, although pharma, but from IT. So it was a good, sort of complementary experience and skills that we brought in, and statistics in clinical trials, etc., was always sort of, it was difficult to find good resources, especially from India, and so we decided that was also going to be a focus, especially like after I joined. But we started off with the pharmacovigilance project. So again, coming back to getting my hands dirty, from day one. So my day one at Sciformix was day one of the project. So this was for a Canadian company.
Okay.
And we had a team of about 12 people with zero understanding of pharmacovigilance. And I had none before prior to that day. So I learned it completely on the job, because I had to also provide, although we had an SME who was helping us, but not on the ground all the time. So, if they had a question, how to do this, how to do that, I had to actually get into the details and guide them. So all the subject matter guidance also I ended up giving on a day-to-day basis, because I was managing delivery.
You have to learn fast and then be
yes. So everything, but looking back, that was exciting. But then eventually we expanded to other areas. So stat, clinical, biometrics, all that became part of what Sciformix did. Although because we were the early entrants in pharmacovigilance, that was always what we were primarily known for. However, what we also did is, because we were doing pharmacovigilance and statistics, so we decided to get into signal detection, like statistical signals. So some of the sort of more advanced areas, which helped differentiate us. I mean, although we may not have got signal detection projects, but to be able to tell the client that this is what we are doing and this is the software we have built, used to set us apart. Used to give them some confidence, the client some confidence that these guys know the subject. So so we also found, so the point I would like to make is, these days everything is so cross-functional that you can always find ways to integrate the different areas of expertise that you have and come up with new solutions.
Fantastic, actually. You're again you have a lot of the women associates at Saama. And for a lot of women associates, leaders like you will be able to break the glass ceiling. I think it's extremely inspiring. So would you like to highlight one or two biases that you faced and how did you overcome them? Any words of advice for some of our women associates?
One thing I would definitely say is that, if you should just do your job very well, and people will respect you for what you bring to the table, irrespective of gender.
Okay.
And I think that's what I experienced. So, for example, Pfizer. So although my group was part of Pfizer Global R&D, in India, we were part of Pfizer India. And Pfizer India, regular sort of pharma, sales, commercial-oriented organization. And because I was leading this whole initiative and group, I was part of the executive team at Pfizer. For a while, for some years initially, I was the only female. So there were 12 members or whatever, and I was the only female. Because I came with such a strong sort of educational and experiential sort of background, and so I think they respected me for what I was, and I think that led to sort of not as much bias that I saw.
And then again, from a guy's perspective, a lot of us, we think we are actually the liberal and we don't have any biases. But somewhere the years of social conditioning leads to some subconscious bias. So would you like to call us out on one or two which you want us to watch, so that to make it much more better for our women associates? Because sometimes we say or do things without realizing that it may come across as demotivating or unnecessary. Anything that you hold us accountable?
The family-related responsibilities that even today females end up taking more than men, they do subconsciously play into the bias. And I was sort of very conscious, because at Pfizer, because of the area that I'm in, it's very natural to get a lot of female candidates for employment, because females tend to go more into life sciences, pharmacy, etc. I was very conscious when interviewing, when hiring candidates, that if I'm comparing two candidates and one happens to be a male, one happens to be a female, and the female may be taking more family responsibilities, etc. But at the end of the day, because of her experience or what I learn from the interview in terms of how passionate, how sincere she'll be, if I feel that she'll be able to do a good job, I should ignore the part about how the family responsibilities will hamper how much she can produce at work. So I think that is, I mean, it's natural, but I think
indirectly you're telling us share the load at home.
That definitely, that definitely is.
No, it's a great point, because especially during the lockdown, when we reached out to our associates, the guys generally had it a little bit easy, but most of our women associates, they had to do double duty. So we found it a lot unfair, because that's decades of social conditioning, right?
Yes.
So anyways, thank you. We'll propagate the message of sharing the load much more, because I think that is definitely a stumbling block, at least on the home side. And the office side, again, there are a lot of stuff which is there in place to make sure that doesn't happen. Okay, I've been told that we got another 5 more minutes. So I want to take questions from the audience. So this question is from Runal Gosavi. Really nice getting to know your journey. Can you share how you keep yourself motivated in difficult times?
I would like to say that if you are very clear about what you want to do, what you want to get, then it's not difficult to keep yourself motivated. You have to be, also the other thing is you have to be willing to change course. For example, I can give an example of what happened with ACTU. When I started ACTU-REAL, somehow the timing was such that I started the company after the lockdown began. Okay. And, a lot of my potential clients are US payers, etc. I had originally planned I would spend a lot of time in the US, get the company set up there, build contacts, etc. None of that could happen. And things were slow, obviously, for a new company to get established at that time, and everybody was so bogged down with all the, pandemic related issues. It was very difficult. So it was slow initially, very, very slow. And, I had the choice of either continuing that way and just waiting for the pandemic to sort of lessen. Or an opportunity presented itself. So there was another company that was interested in expanding into the healthcare domain and investing in ACTU-REAL and expanding into that domain. So I had a decision to make whether I should opt for that, which means giving away stake, etc. Or whether I should just continue to lie low and wait for the pandemic to lessen its impact. So I made a decision. I said, I just want to do things quickly. I don't want to spend another year just waiting for things to pick up, because I wasn't sure at that point how motivated I would stay. Okay. So that was like a check that I did on myself. And I said, I don't really care about giving away stake, etc. Money is not the main reason I started this company. So if tying up with this or getting investment partnering with this company is going to help me jumpstart the business, I want to go for it. So that was a big change of course that I had to make. Okay. But I knew what I wanted and I was ready to make that change. Okay.
This question is from the Joy Mukherjee. Dr. Chitra, you personify data enabling better lives. Is there a specific example, anecdote that you'd like to share about the work that you do which enables better lives? I'm sure the Merck, Vioxx, the entire thing is about saving lives, actually.
So the whole, the area of pharmacovigilance, is about saving lives, clinical development. So, that has always been sort of at the back of the mind and I'm sure it holds true for many of you at Saama as well, that whatever we are doing by contributing to the whole drug development and pharma industry, at the end of the day, it is to enable better patient outcomes. And what I'm doing now with ACTU-REAL is kind of getting me a little closer to that, because my focus is now on how you can use real world evidence to ensure better outcomes for patients. So that's directly looking at sort of aspects of personalized medicine, etc. So using data to enable better lives.
How do you de-stress, and this will Richa Jain, how do you de-stress and maintain work-life balance? That is number one. And there's a question from the Gaurav Tiwari. What are the downside of bringing too much automation and AI-driven clinical trials?
I de-stress is through exercise. So, I have to have my morning exercise no matter what. And that keeps me going the whole day. And, other things like I'm interested in Indian classical music, I'm interested in, plays and, so I watch, the entertainment part of it. But I think mainly I have to exercise every day. So either go to the gym at 5:40. I'm there at 5:45 in the morning, no matter whether I sleep at 12, 12:31, whatever. And during lockdown when the gym was closed,
I really need to get inspired by that.
yeah. Then I started walking, and then I got bored of walking, so I started running.
Oh, nice.
So, but that keeps me charged for the day.
Thanks. This has been a great conversation. It's sad that we have run out of time. Thank you so much, Dr. Chitra, for spending your valuable time with us and sharing your life experiences and giving us your valuable insights to the audience at Saama.
Sure.
And all of us Saamaites, thank you very much for signing into this edition of the Saama Better Lives, the Smart Talk series. Be tuned for similar conversations from inspiring leaders down the line. Thank you very much, folks.
Okay, thank you. I enjoyed. Yeah.